Ow!
Tita, ganda lang po talaga ang bag ko dito.
That's my touch.
Oh God. This is
Because around the Philippines!
In today's episode, we are talking about different root crops found in the Philippines because we think it is one of the undersung heroes of our culinary spectrum, and there's lots that you can do with it. But if you go around the Philippines, you'll find some really, really cool and special recipes that we will present to you today. A lot of people say that ube tastes like sweet vanilla, but in reality, it does not. So today, we're going to tell you what real ube kinampay tastes like.
Bland. Like a root crop. It's different from the ube that I know. Like, I thought it was like the ube extract, ube flavoring. Floral.
Fair.
And then earthy.
You know, the reason why most people say na, oh, they know the flavor ube, kasi yung ube na natitikman nila is really just extract. The real ube, it's very, very subtle notes lang yung flavor niya.
Very fruity for me.
I mean, there's no wrong answers, but that's a wrong answer.
It gets a little chalky, but at the same time still grainy. It's not like a potato or kamote when you would steam it or boil it.
Yun, it's really like balanghoy. Including the, I think it's from the technique as well, just boiling it.
Kinuha agad o sinungko?
Yeah.
Texture niya parang kamote. Dry. May pagkalasang lupa siya.
So the question is now, since you guys have all tried it in its pure form, would you eat this as a source of carbs? Yeah. And not as a dessert?
Yeah.
And the question is now, why don't you?
No, I feel like it doesn't work compared to rice. You know how you like adobo with rice because it's saucy? I just can't imagine eating that with adobo. Like something saucy.
But I think for me, I feel like it's just ingrained into me that it's like a dessert.
It has to be sweet.
Yeah.
So why exactly are we talking about root crops? It's because everyone wants to be healthy in the start of the year, and it's something I think, you know, not necessarily a trend anymore. People just generally want to be healthier. And for that to kind of take part, yes, you can think about low calorie, you can think about protein intake, you can think about all these different things. But the number one part that a lot of people don't necessarily talk about when it comes to healthy eating is to eat as locally as possible. Root crops is something in the discourse of Filipino food that has now become kind of more of a sweet thing. It's found in kakanins, it's found in desserts, and obviously, you know, with the growth of ube halaya, it's seen as kind of like this very sweet, decadent thing. But in reality, root crops are probably the healthiest complex carbohydrates that you can have. And in the Philippines, they previously were way more important and way more popular than rice ever was. Rice is incredibly hard to grow. We've refined our technique for wet rice growing for the longest time. We grow rice in the mountains, which is very difficult to do as well. But root crops grow abundantly everywhere, naturally, endemically. Like, we've been to mountains in Palawan where literally hundreds of species of root crops were being pointed to us as we were walking down. The issue with root crops in general, I've got the beautiful ube here, is most of the time, and this we saw when we visited an Aita tribe in Pampanga, most of the time it's literally just boiled. But throughout our history, root crops were the main source of carbohydrates, and I've got proof to back it up. So I've got two. One that is probably the most boring book you'll ever read. It's called Ancient Filipino Diet. If you're a scientist, it's fantastic. So what these guys did is they studied burial sites of ancient Filipinos, drew out kind of like the collagen in their bones and kind of all these experiments to figure out what ancient or pre-colonial Filipinos actually read. So this whole first part of the book, literally 170 pages, talks about the discoveries that they made without any results. And the last maybe 20 pages are the results. So it's literally a dissertation. And here it says, so it talks about how we were primarily eating seafood, mostly in the low-lying areas. But it says here, food sources in the Philippines, especially plants, have not differed much then as now, meaning that we're still growing the things that we used to grow. The plants collected for this study served as staple food since prehistoric time, based on ethnographic accounts and interviews. Moving forward, they talk about marine fish and how it was a primary source. And then it says, in general, plants dominate Philippine staple food, such as root crops like taro and yams in earlier periods, and later on, rice. However, millets were also cultivated in central Philippines in the 16th century CE, while sweet potato, which was first introduced by the Spaniards in the 16th century CE, and corn that was introduced in the 17th century also became staple foods. So, what does that tell you in terms of carbohydrates? The very first thing that we're actually consuming as carbohydrates were root crops and yams. So, obviously our body is way more efficient in probably processing them, but they're also just way more nutrient dense. Like when you think about who do you know in your lifetime that eats root crops? Probably a great grandmother. You know, like when you have the steamed kamote for snacks, and now it's kind of like, ew, that food's so old. Like why would anyone eat just a boiled kamote? But that's why they live so long. Next is historical evidence, but more from observation by the amazing Doreen Fernandez. Kamote is indispensable to Philippine life, being the staple food of the poor, of hunters and gatherers, and of people in the rural areas. For the Mangyans of Mindoro, it is equivalent to rice. For the farmers of Samar and Leyte, it is a staple. It was the survival food of the warriors, and it's still the survival food of the poor. Now, this is super interesting. This, I think, Doreen was writing in the 90s, I want to say 80s and 90s, and it was still common to see kind of root crops being eaten. Now, fast forward to 2025, it's not as common anymore. But yes, when you do go to very rural areas, it's still very much a staple food. But once young people move to the cities, to the towns, all of a sudden rice is preferred, because I get it, like eating adobo with rice is just more pleasurable than eating adobo with boiled ube, for example. But it would be great to get these back into conversation and for people to start using them on their daily diets, because it'll just be way healthier.
Hi, I'm Trish, and today we are making Kalingking. This is a snack from Bicol, but funny enough, our guest told me today that Kalingking is actually a Filipino term. So, let me introduce her today. She is our kamote queen. Let's all welcome Tita Malu Balares! Hi, Tita!
Hello!
Tita, can you explain to the audience what we're gonna be making today?
We're making a very simple recipe. We call it Kalingking.
Okay, and it's made of
Kamote, flour, sugar, salt, water. That's it.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about Kalingking? Is this something you grew up eating?
Yes.
Okay.
Kasi yung mama ko, lagi itong niluluto sa amin noon. Merienda.
Pero sabi niyo po sa akin kanina, the term Kalingking is a Tagalog term.
Tagalog term siya. Actually, hindi ko alam kung bakit naging popular sa Bicol. Pero kasi siguro maraming kamote sa amin.
Okay. But would you say this is your favorite kamote dish ever?
Yes. Until now, pati mga ano ko ginagawa ko sa kanila to.
This is actually my first time to work with kamote, and hindi ko alam na medyo malagkit lang siya.
Kaya nga kasi may dagta siya namin.
Bilis mo naman, tita.
Sanay.
Kakaisa pa lang ako.
Maraming kamote, maraming supply.
Okay.
Okay.
Pero for Kalingking, any color works naman.
Yeah.
And then I can mix to...
Yeah.
Okay. So,
We're going
hiwain
to-
natin
Yeah,
ng
yeah.
pahaba.
Pahaba. Pero yung sa anak ko, mas gusto niya manipis.
Mas manipis pa.
Kasi mas crispier.
Sige. Tapos dati nung college ako, nabibili ko siya sa school na parang 15 pesos. I feel like kasi tayo mga, I don't know, parang nasanay tayo na mga root crops usually matamis pag kinakain.
Oo.
More than savory. Tita, ganda lang po talaga ang bag ko dito. Ang hirap katrabaho ni kamote. Malagkit na nga, matigas pa. Just a comparison, ito yung mga nahiwa ko habang nagsasalita kami. And ito yung nahiwa ni tita. Parang medyo times 2 ng gawa ko.
So my version is, lalagay ko yung kamote dito, saka ko ilalagay lahat, saka ko i-mix. Kasi ayoko yung madaming butter.
Opo, yung unang kagat butter
Lahat.
Tama.
Gusto ko kamote
Hindi pang
yung...
commercial.
Yan natin ng flour.
Tansya-tansya lang
Tansya lang.
This is what I love about Filipino cooking.
Diba?
Talagang walang recipe na solid. Talagang tansya-tansya lang.
Sugar konti lang kasi may trick tayo later pag luto na.
Oh, may pa-trick.
Haluin muna natin ng konti. Saka yung water. Tapos, sa consistency, titingnan mo kung masyadong malapot, add water. Pag masyado namang watery, dilalagyan natin ng flour.
Para kaming mother-daughter bonding ni tita. We almost forgot to add a very important ingredient, the salt.
Yes.
Ayan.
Just a pinch.
And now it's time to fry. So Tita is gonna show us how to properly fry one. Saan mo natutunan magluto ng kalingking?
Yung mom ko is a good cook. Growing up, ako yung katulong niya sa kusina.
Alright, we just checked it's already golden brown on one side. So we're gonna cook it for a few more minutes. And the more I look at it, the more it reminds me of the parang Japanese na kamote tempura, okoy kakyage style. And tama nga talaga si Tita. Now that I'm frying it, you can really see that the kamote still shines.
Yeah.
And it's not just batter.
Not batter.
It's all cooked and it's time to plate and then we're gonna get to taste it! Ganda! With our taste tester, we'll have Chef Martin! Chef Martin in the house!
Sana pumasa sa'yo, Chef.
Grabe naman.
Chef Mark.
Matamis nga yung kamote.
Perfectly cooked yung kamote, ah.
Thank you.
Tita.
Sarap.
Ay, nakatingin sa akin!
Sarap ba, Chef?
Sobra. Ganda rin yung kamote ginamit ko.
And I like how it, it's crunchy, perfectly crunchy, like what Tita said. You can taste the kamote,
Not the batter.
not the batter.
Yes. Manipis lang, ano?
Manipis
The
lang.
kamote really shines in this dish. This sounds
Mas masarap.
good.
Mas masarap pa.
Siyempre, gawa ni Tita.
Di mo gawa? Wala kang sweldo to.
Ako nag-pour ng water.
Wow.
Tsaka naghiwa ng kamote.
Kaya palang ganda nung
Thank you. Out of 10, Chef.
12.
Wow.
Today I'll be using some kamote, and this concept actually comes from our good friend Jeff Gonzalez, or Food Tarside on IG.
Ako day si Foodie Tarside, or you can call me Jeff. So karon maghimo tag pinaka-simple na sumang kamote. Una, kutkuron lang ang kamote, nya sagulan day na tog asukal, tunaw na butter, gata, hantod na magsticky.
Now it's time to make the bukayo. 3 cups of freshly grated coconut or nyog. Muscovado. Pwede brown sugar, pero iba talaga yung flavor pag muscovado yung gamit natin. And then, condensed milk. So all we want to do is draw out the moisture from the nyog, which will help melt the sugars along with the heat. Right, so this is the consistency you're looking for. Medyo magre-reduce siya, obviously, kasi yung moisture was drawn out. Yan na. Just lay it out at the bottom of your banana leaves. Then, a bit of bukayo. Yan lang. Tapos, roll it. Pagka-fold mo ganyan, kind of tuck this in to seal the whole thing. It's gonna look like that. And then just roll it all the way. After rolling, fold the edges, and that's it. Right, so pwede kang gumamit ng standard steamer, pero kung wala, just get a pot or itong ganitong klaseng kawali. Fill it with water. What I like doing, yung mga retaso natin na banana leaves, we can just put it there. Iwasan lang natin na masubmerge yung ating mga mansu. Salang lang natin ng maayos, making sure it won't be submerged in water. Now let's steam that for around 25 to 30 minutes. After you steam your sumang kamote, it's better to rest it for a few minutes, either room temp lang or para it firms up.
Sa texture, ang cassava kay bouncy, pero ang sumang kamote kay dense, smooth, ug humo kayo. Simple ra, traditional niya, lami kayo pang merienda.
Cool to see the bukayo is still like nice and center.
That's so soft. It's not the typical suman that you get from like the usual kakanin.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting take on that. I love the bukayo touch.
I really hope you like this, but I'm curious as to what you're gonna be making next.
Oh man, I'm gonna make something from my other hometown.
Oh wow.
So this is gonna be a savory dish that most of the tribes there use instead of rice. This dish is very common in Zambasunta. They use this as a side dish. So this is called Piutu. I'm gonna try and show you how to peel cassava the traditional way. So cut it into threes and then just make a tiny slit in the middle. Be careful with your fingers, as I have seen a lot of incidents, a lot of accidents involving the grater. And beautiful. With your trusty cheesecloth, In the provinces, I think they use sako bags to extract the juices out of this. Ooh. So with about 1 cassava, I think you can make close to 2 piutus. Oh man, that's so milky. Place your cassava into a bowl. Not too big, not too small. To that, we are gonna add turmeric for color. This is optional. Gonna be using oil then. About 2 tablespoons for this amount of cassava. And then we're gonna mix it like so. Alright, so traditionally, they cook this in atakore with a bagul. Just place a bit of oil para hindi siya dumikit. You wanna fill about like that. I think pwede na siya i-flip. So, for you to do this very, very carefully and safely, and then just flip it. And then turn it back on. Then we're gonna continue to steam this until luto na yung gitna. Yan. Let's turn off the heat and we'll give this one last flip before we are gonna shape it. They usually roll it in like sacks, but today I'm using banana leaf. Just gonna oil up our banana leaf ng konti. Piutu. In. Then, we're gonna reveal this all together. Whoa! That actually looks cool. We usually pair it with green mangoes dipped in soy sauce. To get the most genuine reaction about this dish, I'm gonna call in someone na hindi talaga exposed to food like this. So, it's gonna be Ina from Bacolod.
Wala sa probinsya namin yan Ano yan?
Yeah, so this is piutu. So you're gonna take some of the piutu. You get some of the fish.
Ooh.
Just like that. And this is our Sunday.
Uy, ang sarap!
What? It's a nice
Is
combo.
this like an everyday meal?
Yeah. So what really is interesting then is because the young generation still appreciates this.
I really like it.
Right? It's so good.
Hi, I'm Ina and I'm making a traditional steamed cassava delicacy all the way from Santa Fe, Pilar, Capiz, Puto Balinghoy ni Nanay Salvacion Velarde.
Ngayong aga, ako nga pala si Salvacion Velarde, 64 years old. Madalas kasi, ginagawa ng nanay ko yan noon, pang merienda namin, almusal o kaya minsan sa hapunan pa nga. Ang recipe sa paggawa ng Puto Balinghoy, gadgarin, pigaan, at saka ibilad. Nung matuyo na, ihango mo na, tsaka lagyan ng asukal, tsaka buko. Ihalo mo hanggang sa mag-okay na sila. Doon ko niluluto sa takore. Ngayon, kailangan may bao ka ng nyug. Ilalagay mo sa bunganga ng takore. Kailangan walang singaw. Lagyan mo siya ng basang ginadgad na balinghoy.
And para yung mixture, easy to take out, we have to put ng banana leaves. Para mamaya, when we take it out, ipupul na lang natin siyang ganyan. And now, maglalagay tayo ng mixture sa loob. So, just push it down. And Nanay said she cooks it for about 3 to 5 minutes. Pero on high heat siya. We're not using high heat right now. So, let's see kung ilang minutes siya maluluto. We're gonna trap it with our banana leaf. And, yeah. So, ayun. Let's check back kung ilang minutes siya maluluto. It's been about 8 minutes. Nilabas ko na siya sa bao. And ito na yung itsura ng ating Puto Balinghoy. And habang mainit pa siya, we have to brush it with some margarine. That's my tots. I'm here with Nika para try na natin yung ating Puto Balinghoy.
Ang bango niya. Actually, naaamoy ko siya from here.
Hindi?
Uy, ang sarap! Ang sarap, no? Ang sarap
Kasi
niya.
hindi ako talaga fan ng balanghoy
ng balanghoy.
growing up. Pero ang sarap niya pag bagong luto especially.
Tapos yung bites of buko din.
Ang ganda, no? May
Masarap
texture.
Yung, may texture na matamis.
Yan.
For today, I'm gonna be making Sinarok, a traditional delicacy from Samar. And nakuha ko yung recipe from the series of cookbook na Secret Kitchens of Samar. From this book, so ito yung Postringan Mga Karanon, and page 187, you could see the recipe for Sinarok.
The star ingredient for this dish is our root crop, which is cassava or balanghoy. Pero sa kanilang tawag is bilanghoy sa Samar. First things first, we need to grate our cassava. I like to cut them into pieces para mas mabilis siya i-grate. Actually, hindi sinabi sa book kung gaano ka-coarse or ka-fine dapat yung pag-grate. I hope this would work. Ta-da! So, we're gonna put this in a bowl and then kukuha tayo ng cheesecloth. Ang dami pala ng may extract na juice. For now, we're gonna focus on the pulp. So, as you can see, it's all nice and dried up. So, we have some puto molds over here. So, we're gonna put some pulp and then press it. So, we're forming a nice cup from the pulp. We're gonna steam this for 10 to 15 minutes until makita natin na luto na yung cups. At the same time, it's translucent na. Step number 4 says, inspect the young coconut and remove any brown skin. So, na-inspect ko na siya. So, you could do this while the cups are steaming. So, pwedeng-pwede na while waiting for that to cook. I'm gonna add our liquid first. To this, we're gonna add some brown sugar and our young coconut. Give it a quick mix first before turning on the heat. Just so incorporated na siya lahat. Just going to continue mixing this until it forms into like that nice caramel-like consistency. It gets sticky. Ang bilis ng mga pangyayari. So, siguro parang 2 minutes in pa lang and it's starting to thicken up already. Because as you can see, it's very sticky. Malamig na yung cups natin. So, pwede na siyang i-remove from its mold. Pag nag-loosen up na siya, you could just simply pick it up. So, it says here on step number 7 to bring the oil to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it's important lang when deep frying like this na talagang malalim talaga yung oil para mapiprito talaga siya evenly. Medyo nag-golden na siya. It's the time to sprinkle some sugar. Mini-mix-mix ko lang para ma-coat siya sa sugar. Ah! You see that? We have one. Look, it's so good! So, the recipe says to enjoy while still warm and then indulge. So, I'm gonna call my friend, Seth. Ah! The texture though, wow.
No, I agree. I think yung baba parang siyang hash brown. Almost like a hash brown.
Yeah. Kasi yung coconut, so you'd get that nice bite. Pero hindi siya yung matigas na parang mahirap siya i-chew na coconut.
Tama.
And then you'd get that nice sense of nuttiness from the nuts on top.
Layers of flavor. I think perfect yung sobrang crunchy niya because the filling is so ooey-gooey.
Yeah.
And I can see how it's super solid in the warm. So, I'm going to be using the Gaddi and I'm going to be making a dish called Kaloko. Now, Kaloko is sort of kind of a kakanin. What really surprised me about this dish is the process. We got our video or our resource from Happy Mom She's Kitchen. Thank you so much for letting us use the video and also learning from it. What I want to be doing here right now is I want to be scraping out the insides and yung insides na yun yung titimplahan natin. And you can see right here that as na kinakayod ko siya, nagiging jammy, it gets sticky. All right, so this is an example of what you want it to look like. You want to make it look like a boat. So from here, I'm gonna add this. And then, titimplahan ko na siya dito ng sugar. And what I want to do is almost like cream it. I want to make sure that that sugar kind of dissolves and gets my gabi meat all wet. But I'm really excited. I mean, it's the first time I've seen like this technique. And Kaloko is actually not that well known outside of Bicol. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill in my little gabi boats. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add to the other side also. And then I'm going to close it. Generally, you really wanna make sure that it's not too liquidy, so you wanna make a big mountain. Now for the final part, cooking. So you wanna get a medium-walled pan. That way you can really simmer your gabi. And I'm just gonna be placing them. So lalagay ko na yung ating coconut milk. And you want it to fill it all the way almost to the top. Now I'm gonna bring it to heat. Once we get it to a boil, we're gonna simmer it until it is fully cooked through. So from there, I'm gonna cover it. We want to bring it to a simmer, get the heat really low, and cook it nice, low and slow. All right, time for the big reveal. We have it here, bam. But here, I have it nice and soupy. Now I'm gonna put it here into my vessel. I'm gonna get the perfect one. I'm a big fan of coconut milk, and I'm a big fan of ginataan, anything ginataan. So I'm gonna ask for a little friend to come over. Trish, I wanted out someone else, but wala akong choice. Si Trish daw yung isasali sa akin. I love anything na
And this is
ginataan.
Gabi, right?
Yes, this is Gabi. Pure. This is only 3 ingredients. This is coconut milk, sugar, and Gabi. It has this texture of like biko.
Kind of.
It's really
Nakakakanin.
Nakakakanin. I mean, it is branded as a kakanin.
That's nice, Seth. And hindi siya ganun katamis. Yeah, and I really like how you made the Gabi shine. Like it was really the highlight of this dish, which it's supposed to be, but you didn't mask the flavor at all.
Exactly. It's just more sweet. Put a little bit of sauce, but I can see why this is enjoyed all over. And I think you guys should give this a try.
Nakakabusog ah. I really like what Seth made. Honestly.
Same. Actually, I like yours also.
Yeah, surprisingly, I really enjoyed that a lot. Of course, yung gawa ni Tita na Kalingking.
Okay, but I think with that being said, it just goes to show what root crops we have and what can be done. I mean, great example for this, like cassava could be boiled like this and it can almost be, like I think this could be done also like if it was a savory filling as a cassava tart. I think that would be amazing as well. Like for 3 ingredient recipes, like what I made the Kaloko a while ago, like that caught me by surprise and I keep saying that, sorry, because it really did.
I think it's about time that root crops also have its spotlight.
Yeah.
It's our unsung hero.
Yeah, because for all of us, it's always just rice. What a good way to start 2026. I mean, we were able to bring root crops to the table. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope you guys learned something new about root crops the way we did.
Yeah.
And we just all want to wish you a Happy New Year!
Aray ko,